What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to episode number 691 of the Smark Moment Smack Talk Hot Tags of the Week. I'm your host, as always, Tony Mango, joined as always by Robert Felice.
Hello, everyone. This is going to be a fun one. What do we got on the rocket docket, Tony?
No Owen Hart topics for the Rocket.
I do love the Rocket.
But we do have other topics. It's actually not like a crazy week. For the most part, stuff that in other weeks I could have potentially been like, nah, I don't know if we really want to talk about that or not. Like, then there's a few that no matter what we would have talked about, hence the thumbnail about two people's contracts expiring. But we're going to run them down regardless. And we always want to know what you guys have to say. So drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you are on YouTube, make sure that you hit the like button, subscribe, ring that notification bell, get those email alerts set up for when we go live for things like the post show for, I guess technically it's tomorrow because we're past midnight now on the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view point. And keep in mind as well, if you want to help support us, the join button that's next to the subscribe button is the same as the Patreon. Now, I did just put up a dark cast of Call the Spot. I figured I would knock that out, and I did. So.
Bianca's your Hall of Famer, and obviously John Cena's your Hall of Famer.
Nope, one of those is wrong.
Is it Bianca?
It is Bianca. So if you want to find out where I'd rank the other ones, you got to be on the Darkcast here for that. And of course, if you want to help us out on the other types of monetary ways, Redbubble and TeePublic is where you can pick up merchandise. If you want to just toss a little spare change our way, the thanks button is another option for that. Thank you for everything that you guys do on that front. Of course, if you want to chat it up on our Discord server, that's another means for you to just give us your opinions and stuff. It's totally free to join that. I'm not going to put that behind a paywall or so. Actually, do people do that? Do people have Discords behind paywalls? Some asshole probably does.
I feel like Fightful does. I could be wrong, but I feel like Fightful does.
Huh. Discord to me doesn't seem like it should be something that would be
Ad-free
behind
shows definitely does.
I mean, I guess if you can monetize it and people are willing to pay for it, whatever. No, I would never really do that. But, yeah. Then again, I'm me and they're them.
Y'all don't understand. If we thought for a second that you would like pay for us to be on a Discord, we would just be on the free Discord so much. Like, if we thought that
all the time
there, like.
Yeah, that's the same as anything else. You know, the more people that are on the Darkcast here, the more that.
It's Bailey. I forgot who's in the match. It's Bailey.
Actually, now I don't remember who I put on there, but I don't think it was Bailey.
Well, so fuck, Tony.
Yeah. Well, you know, we got Elimination Chamber stuff coming up, so yeah, well, maybe we'll have more of a debate on that front a little bit later, but I don't know. Let's go with a random topic here. The 97th Academy Awards are coming up.
Are you excited?
Nope. I don't really know even what's nominated. When I saw the list of nominees, I pretty much was just like, all right, well, these aren't things that I was really interested in watching. And then even if I was interested in watching them, I didn't yet. Nothing was really standing out to me. And more than any other year, I can't remember being that uninterested. And part of that's also just the way that the world is today, because it's just like...
That's just you not being interested. Because there's actually a lot of like banger films out right now. I've gotten about halfway through A Complete Unknown, mostly because I started watching at a time where I knew I wasn't going to have the time. That was my mistake. But I'm very much liking Timothée Chalamet's take on Bob Dylan. I want to see Honora, hearing great things about Honora. I've heard The Substance is really good.
Caroline swears by it. She thinks it's one of like her favorite movies that she's seen in a long time.
You didn't, did you?
I didn't watch it because I'm like, I don't like body horror stuff.
I
also don't like Bob Dylan, so I was like, I watched that movie.
No, but there's a lot of great films. One film that is not nominated, which I thought would be, is The Last Showgirl.
Not for anything?
It's not up for Best Picture, and I don't think Pamela's up for actress. Yeah, it's not for any.
If you're wondering why I brought this up, and hey, if you want more of this kind of stuff, Fanboys Anonymous, of course, is where you can get all the movie stuff. But it's because Batista is going to be presenting at the Oscars,
and that's why I referenced Last Showgirl, because Batista is in the Last Showgirl.
He's the Last Showgirl.
He's not the Last Showgirl, but he does have a on-again, off-again relationship with Pamela Anderson in the movie.
Imagine being in a scenario where somebody like a Pamela Anderson becomes as big as she is, and then you just become another big name in something, and then you get cast as like the love interest or something in a movie years later, and then you're like, oh man, like when she was at her peak, nobody knew my fucking name.
I mean, let's be honest. Pamela Anderson, WrestleMania celebrity, Royal Rumble celebrity, Yeah,
Mania 11.
I'm really happy for her. This role feels like it was made for her. I haven't seen the movie yet, but I really want to. And by all accounts, she's apparently tremendous in the film.
Yeah, I've heard good things.
I hope this is her, turnaround moment.
Now, I don't know what Batista is going to be presenting, but based off of the nominees list, I don't think I'm going to be watching any of the Oscars this year. So I'll probably just like check out a clip of if Batista says or does anything interesting or funny. But,
is Rock going this year?
I guess it depends on whether or not Cody says that he's. And then I guess okay, now that you're my champion, I don't have to be in WWE or what. That's
okay, so I don't think they say at all what he's doing. Okay.
None of the things that I read had said exactly what he's going to be presenting. I mean, I highly doubt that he's going to be presenting like, Best Picture. But
is there a main category?
No, there never is for some reason.
There is in the SAG. I just watched the SAG last week.
Always said that should be something, and of course they just never do it.
He's in a star-studded field, though. I mean, he is actually a big movie star. I didn't forget that because he's just Batista to me. But Harrison Ford, Gal Gadot, Andrew Garfield, Sam Jackson. He's pretty star-studded list of presenters.
Yeah, not bad, right? Moving up in the world. It's always a shame when somebody like a Batista comes into this and it's like, oh man, if he would have been this good of an actor 20 years ago, imagine all the roles that he would have gotten,
Yeah, but if he would have been this good of an actor 20 years ago, we would not have gotten
Batista.
One of the elite four of the Ruthless Aggression era.
If you're curious what that means, everybody check out the Pokemon What If episode where we were talking about all that for a special bonus episode for this month, or for this week, I should say. So that's one of those kind of oddball stories. But another thing that I think probably only I could talk about, unless maybe things have changed. Have you watched the WWE LFG episode 2?
Nope.
Okay, so then I can be the only one that speaks on that. I'm not planning, by the way, for anybody that's curious, to do like a thoughts on every episode going forward type of thing, because I don't think it's necessarily worth it. And part of that is because of the way that this episode went down. This was a totally fine episode of a television show for, the type of show that they're going for and everything. But I do feel like it kind of played its hand already about like, all right, this is what it's going to be going forward. And I don't think it's going to get any better. I'm still going to watch it, but now they sorted out who is on which teams. And of course, BJ Ray is on Bubba Ray's team because that's, you manufacture the hell out of that. But they used the little gold Royal Rumble number tumbler to do it. And that was a nice little like, look at that. They're repurposing that kind of moment for me. I do still recommend checking it out for anybody that's interested in LFG. And going forward, there are a couple people that I'm a little bit more like rooting for. I don't know how real the competition is to be like, all right, who isn't just going to get a contract and who is obviously going to. But the group of people that they had showcased a little bit more were like, some of them I was like, you know what, I could see something pretty decent with some of these people already. Like the matches, I don't remember exactly like, you know, the ins and outs too, but a little bit more from Shiloh Hill. And I'm like, all right, I can see why they had him in the mix here. There was a pretty decent spotlight for Tatiana Dumas, who is like a little nervous and everything, but she worked itself out a little bit. And Lee Laurel, I don't know how to pronounce this one woman's name, Penina Twalapa. I don't know for sure, but she seems like she's got a lot already sorted out. So I recommend checking this out and seeing a little, you know, little glimpse of what the future is going to be in store for anybody.
I will eventually watch it because I'm fascinated by the vibe. I'm fascinated by the fact that we've gone full, just like Undertaker's just a dude. And like I saw it from this next one where like he's gonna get mad at Michelle
for helping out Mickey.
Like, but okay, sure. Like, it's so weird for me because you just think, oh, it's the Undertaker. He's so mysterious and loyal to the gimmick.
Not anymore. Like, now he's just a guy. Now he's Mark.
This is Mark, Big Mark from Texas.
It is a little weird. And he's not my favorite coach on the show. Easily Bubba Ray is my favorite. Like, he seems like he's hamming it up for the whole like, oh, I want to be like the heel out of the bunch, but at the same time I'm like, yeah, you know what though, fuck it, that's good. You know, we need a heel, we need a bad guy in there. And I love seeing some of the interactions between him and BJ Ray. Actually, BJ Ray is like, I get why they signed the guy. So
I went through an interview with him. He did an interview with the Muscle Man Malcolm, and he spoke about like the tension he has with Bubba, and he made a comment like, you know, I don't care about the rules of wrestling. My dad taught me, you know, you respect another man until he gives you a reason not to, and you know, I guess he and Bubba have tensions.
It's one of those like, I don't respect you until you've earned it types of things.
And BJ's just like, well, fuck you, I'm a guy, and you're gonna fucking respect me because I'm a human being.
Yeah.
You dick.
Yep.
I like that.
So overall, though, again, maybe I'll mention some stuff on future hot tags of like episode 3 and stuff. But now that we know like the teams, and now that we know basically a little bit more of the structure of the show, I'm not going to be like incredibly attached to it, but I do think that it's worth a little bit of a watch for some people. So, yeah, is what it is. Now, another tangentially related type of thing like that is the WWE ID scenario. And I have one hot tag about that, which is that Sean Waltman, X-Pac, 123 Kid, Lightning Kid, what other names did he have?
Kamikaze Kid.
Kamikaze Kid.
Six Pac.
Yeah, Six.
Okay.
Star of One Night in China.
No.
What do you mean?
That.
He was the second build star. He is apparently helping out the WWE ID talents. He said something recently in like an interview that he has been helping them out by like checking out their matches on like Zoom calls and stuff. And
so like, what's her name? Xena Sterling. No, Zeta Steel. Sorry, same letters. Same.
Yeah, it's kind of hard for me to keep track of them too.
Zeta Steel mentioned this weeks ago, and I did the article where she was like, yeah, you know, Sean Waltman and I think it's Finley are giving us feedback on our matches. And let me just say that's fucking cool, right? Like, as a nerd for that era, as somebody who like literally 24 hours ago with you just fought to make sure Kid was represented in the new generation era, like I that's so cool. I think that's great. I also think that there's nobody better to talk about the rise through the independents into WWE than the Lightning Kid, because he's really like the first. If you think about it, GWF was the territory, but like the territories were already kind of dead by '93, and Waltman really was one of the first like indie stars to make it. And I think it's cool that he's still giving back to the industry in that way.
Yeah, like he can't be the guy that people just have a match with to like, you know, put him with Kid and see if he can go in the ring. But he was great in the ring. He's one of my favorites at a certain point. I mean, I don't know where I would rank him now on my top 100 list, but he probably would be in my, well, I would say he'd probably be in my top 50. Now that we've had so many more people, maybe not, but he still could. He would be on the top 100 for sure. But, you know, you go back into like the new generation era, like that dude's top 10 for sure for me. Always a big fan. And I always thought he was underutilized and underrated.
Agreed.
Don't know how he never won the Intercontinental title.
We talk about it all the time. It's just like there's only 3 championships, you know, and Razor was perpetually a top guy. Diesel was perpetually a top guy. So was Sean and Brett.
Yeah, it's he is helping out with that, which means that you got X-Pac working out with ID. You got Road Dogg as a lead writer for SmackDown. You've got Shawn Michaels heading up NXT. And you've got Triple H running WWE. When's Billy Gunn just gonna show up and be like, all right,
be the head coach of the fucking performance?
Something like, is he gonna like do that, or is he gonna be like, I'm heading up Evolve, or like I don't know, head of some kind of division or whatever?
Well, first of all, he wouldn't be the head of anything; he'd be the ass.
True.
No, I think it's great that DX runs everything because, you know, counterculture, rebellious gimmick aside, they're all people who clearly had nothing but love and passion for the industry.
Yeah, that was their life.
I think that's fucking awesome. But, you know, it's often said, like, if Scott Hall would have been sober, you know, at a certain time, he would have easily found himself in similar positions.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the Clique just loved wrestling, and I wish, because we're going to talk a little bit, like, recap chamber stuff, and I wish people had the love for the industry that, like, that era of people did.
It's a shame that they can't get Kevin Nash to be like some kind of a consultant, because I think that he's got a great mind that they don't tap into as much as they should.
Kevin Nash, every time I think about Kevin Nash as a consultant, I think about the fact that he said he would shoot a wrestling show like the Larry Sanders Show.
How so?
Where like you would clearly know a backstage segment is something that you're not supposed to be seeing, as opposed to the idea of, well, we all just saw that, you know, like they're the worst villains ever. They're plotting, you know, in front of a camera, kind of thing. And that's a very interesting idea. And I think Nash in general always had his finger on the pulse of like what was cool when he was in the industry. And that's probably something missing from today. Even though I think they do a good enough job of it in NXT. Like, I think that you could always use a further push of like, okay, what is now? You know?
Even just basic common sense. I feel like Kevin Nash has that more than a lot of other people.
Well, yeah.
And since he's not involved in the wrestling business, like as a wrestler, then you don't have to get into the whole, like, how you're booking yourself as champion type of scenarios and stuff. But it seems like Waltman is very happy giving back, and it's cool that they got a spot for him to do that.
I also, speaking of ID, Jack Cartwheel, I believe, spoke to Denise Salcedo and basically said ID is essentially a promotion WWE is running through Twitter or X. But, like, that's an interesting idea. That, because they are just keeping track of everything through that. I don't know. I continue to think that's where Evolve comes in, but I don't know. By the way, that starts next week.
Next week?
Yeah.
Already? I thought it was like, oh my God, it's the 28th.
It's Tony, March 5th. The 1st is tomorrow. I'm so sorry. If I could give you a hug, I would.
I hate it with passion. Here's, I don't know, insert transition. Stephanie McMahon is going to host a podcast, apparently launching in the spring.
Wow. You're the king of transitions.
Hell yeah, I am. Nobody could have seen that one coming.
Stephanie McMahon starting a podcast in the spring.
No name has been put out there for this, and I'm very curious what names everybody can think of, so drop your comments below. It's just going to be... It's probably going to be some Queen...
I'm thinking Queendom or something. So is this supposed to be a wrestling podcast, or is it just a podcast?
That, more than anything, that is where I either listen to it or I don't. And even that is overstating how much I would listen to a normal podcast about wrestling, because let's face it, there's a million podcasts out there. I don't listen to any of them.
So I'm interested. I'd actually be more interested if it's a life podcast. As mundane as it probably would seem, I'd be kind of interested in hearing Stephanie's perspective on motherhood, like, because that's motherhood coming from a place of pretty significant privilege. I'd be curious as to, like, what it was like raising 3 daughters as a McMahon, you know?
Be like, hey, don't listen to anything that Grandpa says.
Stay away from Grandpa, kid.
Find yourself a man that's nothing like Grandpa. Or Pop, right? That's what he likes to go by.
Yeah, they did call him Pop.
I want to know stories that she most likely wouldn't tell. And that's what is, like, inherently the problem with most of these things. I want to know the dirt. I want to know the things that would embarrass people. I want to know mundane things, but mundane things in the way that it's like, here's a funny story about like I always think it's fascinating when that story came up about Vince not knowing what a burrito was. I want to hear shit like that.
I think it's fascinating when, was it Freddie Prinze who was like, Vince doesn't know what the fuck RoboCop was. And you're
like, did he watch WCW?
And yeah, he's like, he owned a TV, like, stuff like that. I would love to hear. I'd love to hear, stories about, hey, what's Stephanie's approach to entertainment? So, like, what's her favorite movie? And if you can zone in on, like, what her favorite movie is, can you figure out what she looks for in a top wrestler? Like, there's ways to get back to wrestling, but I'd like it to be a life podcast. I'd like to see someone with the last name of McMahon do something outside of wrestling. Actually, that's probably the next topic we should talk about.
The Vince starting a new company thing?
Yeah, I want to talk about that. Please stop listening to these people. Like, look, guys, when they're openly telling you, when it's like, what is it, Eric Bischoff on his podcast and Conrad Thompson are openly discussing the possibility of Vince doing something and then saying, well, he's hiring a lot of wrestling adjacent people. What does that mean? It means that the only thing he knows is professional wrestling.
He's failed at everything else.
Like, no, but I mean, like, all right, you're a content creator, right? If I go out tomorrow and I start at, an industry for just mass producing screenplays, I'm gonna be like, you know what, Tony, you did the Batman blueprint. I'm gonna bring you on because we're not doing exactly that, but it's adjacent enough, and you're the only person I know who's good at that. So I need you now because you can kind of do this thing I'm looking for.
By the way, if anybody's curious, Blueprint Project over there on Fanboys Anonymous. If you're interested in knowing more about the Batman A Nighttime Story, check out those videos. Like, Absolute Power Rangers, Mighty Morphin Epic, great stuff. I wish they'd hire me to do these things.
I'm the kind of person who legitimately has called upon his friends because, like, you're an amateur musician. I need a song.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I've done the same. I had
That's a normal thing to do.
Fanboys Anonymous started out with, who's interested in writing about absolutely anything, and like, I tried to get production company things sorted out to be exactly the same thing about, like, people that are into making music, and I'm like, do you want to make intro music for YouTube videos, like that kind of thing? Of course, nobody fucking wanted to do anything because it's like, oh, I would love to do that, but I'd actually have to work.
I do that all the time. Like, I'm always like, hey, hey Tony, I need a logo for something. You can do these things in 10 seconds. And
I don't blame him for, like, if he wants to start a new company, he's going to use some people that he knows.
But at the same time, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, why the fuck would you think it's a wrestling company?
It would be an incredibly stupid idea to try a wrestling company.
Vince McMahon isn't going to say, there's my legacy, and I'm going to try to outdo it. If he does anything in wrestling, he's going to go, give me my fucking company back.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's going to try to do an entertainment company.
I think Alpha Entertainment something or other is like, it's going to try to tap into maybe a bunch of things, and it's like throw everything at the wall and see what sticks.
The fact that they had to get not a retraction, but a denial from Fox about being involved, it's insane to me. Look, and I'll say this. I've been wrong before. I'm wrong all the time. Like, I have no problem being wrong. I will start to believe it when the story comes out that Bruce Pritchard is leaving WWE.
Yeah, that will be a huge tell.
If Bruce Pritchard leaves WWE, I am then going, okay, maybe. And if they can somehow get the name World Wrestling Federation.
For the record, if Vince were to create another wrestling company, I wouldn't watch it.
I'm having a hard enough time watching this one from a moral perspective. I mean this. Seriously, no, I'm having a hard enough time watching.
I laugh because it's true.
From a moral perspective, like,
we're getting 3 Saudi Arabia shows next year, And
it's not even that. It's just like listen, it's bled over into the States. Like, Triple H, we just talked about Triple H being behind Linda when she's having her Senate confirmation hearing to be part of the regime that is tearing down, in my opinion,
everything.
this country, brick by brick. And I just, I want to just watch my wrestling for an escape, but it's getting harder.
Speaking of terrible people,
I love that transition.
There you go. It's a much better one. TNA has been called out for not letting the media ask questions to Tessa Blanchard about the whole racism stuff. and basically telling people you can't ask her those questions. And if you do, we're never going to ask you to be a part of any kind of media stuff in the future. And if you play ball and you don't ask that stuff, then you get to interview some other people.
So I obviously knew this, internally, privately, but who came out and said this?
Oh, I don't know, like a specific thing. I saw it all over the place.
Yeah. Okay. So when I had a friend who said to me, "Hey, I'm interviewing Tessa. Any questions?" My first question was, what have you done to better yourself so that people can feel better about you getting a second chance? And then I told, yeah, we had to stay with that. This is wrong.
On so many levels.
This is the kind of thing. And by the way, somebody on Twitter, like a month ago, tried to come at me because I did a post about Tessa and didn't mention the allegations. And I'm like, look, she's clearly back. I'm not bringing up the fact that she's racist every time I do a post. It's gonna get weird, and they're gonna say something, and then I don't run the websites I work for, so I don't have free reign to just do that. But I think it's a mistake. I think everything she's doing is a mistake.
I think turning a blind eye to something like that is either very ignorant and playing with fire, or it is an admission of guilt.
It's a complete admission of guilt.
An admission as well of, but we don't care about it, and I want you to just shut up. And that's exactly why people shouldn't, because we're in a world where too many people let this stuff happen, which is also a reason why I had tweeted in response to a thing about how WWE didn't acknowledge Black History Month for the first time ever. And it was like, oh, because of the election. That's why. Because they reached a point where they said, well, we don't need to do it anymore. And I want reporters on every field, in everything, not just wrestling, but in every wrestling company and then on everything in the world. I want them to grow a set of balls. And I want the next time that WWE does a press conference for them to go, so tell us your excuse for why you didn't acknowledge Black History Month for the first time now, after this being in that, and grow a fucking set and do your jobs.
So Sami Zayn, and we'll get to Tessa in a second, but Sami Zayn was actually asked specifically about the tensions between America and Canada, and basically said, yeah, I think, we're trying our best to be escapism, which is a fair answer.
Yeah.
And Sami Zayn's the right person to ask because,
Canadian guy who has been very vocal about a lot of things.
About morality and all that. I do wonder if that's going to come up tomorrow in the press conference, if anything with Linda is coming up tomorrow.
It won't. Yeah. I guarantee you it won't. It's going to be, when's the next time that you're going to be in Canada? Can you tell us again how much money you made on this?
But okay, back to Tessa. Yeah, I think I'm a believer, becoming less so in the ensuing chaos. But I've been a believer of second chances. People make mistakes.
People can change.
However, you have to actively show that you want to change. You have to actively say, this was wrong. I want to atone for this. I want to be a better person. And I understand that language, like, I'm educating myself, has been kind of co-opted and is now just seen as like woke or whatever the fuck that people who just want to be shitty people, use those words to try to get away with being shitty people. But damn it, Tessa Blanchard is a fantastic pro wrestler. If she just would have tried to truly own up to her faults and say, hey, I want to work on improving as a person, I think she could have overcome it. But at this rate, it's a dumpster fire because she can't do anything without people chanting, you're a racist, or this new one, which is just, Tessa, we come in for you. Which I see that they started at the Performance Center with Booker T. When he comes out, they just chant, Hulk Hogan, we come in for you. Which I think it's funny. But it's sad for Tessa because I think she really wants the second chance, but I don't think she wants to better.
See, I don't think that's sad. I think if you want a second chance, but you're not willing to earn a second chance, you don't deserve a second chance. And at that point, boo fucking who. That's like telling people that, like, and yeah, we're going to get in the sidetrack on these kind of things too, but like, that's like telling somebody who is like a criminal that goes in and out of prison that they're all like, well, you know, I just don't get another opportunity. And it's like, well, stop stealing and stop getting arrested for doing terrible things, and then you won't go back in prison, motherfucker. And like, there are like systemic problems and there are issues that like you can't get over until you understand it better. But if you just go like, can we all just move on? And can we just whatever? No, you have no right to tell other people that are upset with you that you need them to move on. And
and she clearly tried to move on, by the way, but was only getting booked by like XPW.
Right. And it's like, I want people to hold people accountable, and I want people that do bad things to actually change. And maybe she has, I don't know the woman at all, but like, I think TNA's approach here is horrible.
It's bullshit. It's bullshit.
Because they should be going, okay, we want this to work. How do we fix it? And the way to do that is to fix the problem, not to just go, la, 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 la. Please don't call attention to that. Own up to it, sort it out, figure out a way to move on from like a perspective of like, you know, we're trying to make things better. Prove to people that there's a reason to trust, and then maybe they will. Don't just go, hey, we don't like how you're calling attention to this bad thing. Motherfucker, if you didn't have the bad thing, they wouldn't be calling attention to it.
Exactly. But
so
like
that would be like when WWE would be like, you know, oh, can we stop talking about the Vince thing? No.
I want people to hold others accountable. And then I want the people on the other end to want to change and be given the opportunity to do so. But I think an incident like this shows people just want the second chance without changing. They just kind of, I think, this is my opinion, I think that there's a lot of just, well, it's been 5 years, get over it, especially now that the climate of the world's changing. Like, I think that mindset is even more popular. But here's the thing. Wrestling fans can be forgiving.
Yeah.
Except for when you're really, really, really proven to just be terrible.
There's a big difference between like this person walked out of the company because they were mad about their booking versus this person seems to be a terrible human being. You know?
Right, because it's not just the racism allegations. It's the bullying allegations. It's the idea that she just seemed to be an unpleasant person. And they're leaning into it in story. But she's going to fight Xia Li at Sacrifice. And I don't know. I feel like Tessa Blanchard should have been one of the biggest deals in women's wrestling. And she blew it. and doesn't seem concerned with putting in the work to better herself as a person. That's my take based on what we're
What
being
you
told.
can see as a fan and all.
Yeah, what we're being told from this perspective and otherwise. Because, like, look, I can say this. I've had, many talks with Magnum TA. I'm not currently doing it because of my current situation, but for a while I was producing his podcast with Greg Gagne. He wants nothing but what's best for Tessa, but you have to put in the work. I wish there was a desire to do that, but there doesn't seem to be that. There just seems to be a desire to be like, move on.
Stop holding me accountable and just get over it. And that doesn't work. Well, different topic. But it's interesting that, there are some parallels when it comes to moving on versus, forgiveness and all that. Ryan Nemeth is suing AEW, Tony Khan, and CM Punk.
Yeah, he is. I want to go on record here and just say, when you look at the details of some of the details of that lawsuit, and they're out there, I would understand if somebody looked at that and said, that's not real, right? Like, there's elements of that lawsuit that feel like it's a bit, you know what I mean? Including, him saying that Tony Khan was heartbroken when Punk left because that's his idol, and what's the exact quote? I have to pull it up.
I don't remember for sure. Was it something about like his fondness for CM Punk or something?
Yeah, like that. That's his idol, and he's so fond of him. Okay, I'm gonna pull it up now.
I didn't read a whole lot of that, whole spiel, but
Khan was heartbroken by the departure of Brooks, his idol, and that he adored in every way. Like, and then he, for reference, the picture that he used of Tony Khan is him at the Super Bowl with the neck brace on. Not the Super Bowl, but the NFL draft with the neck brace on. And it's like, this is very unserious. Sorry. This seems very unserious.
This whole thing feels, from an outsider's perspective, like a bunch of children. And it's kind of like, you were fearing for your life. Oh, you idolized him, and then you potentially fired Nemeth because you got to fire somebody because you're mad at the Punk thing with the Bucks and Omega and all. It really feels like it's a shame that Tony Khan's not in a position where he can't sit everybody down and go, "You're all adults, grow the fuck up." And that some people in life need to just do that. They just need to grow the fuck up. And some other times you're just never going to get it because it's just going to be a he said, she said type thing. And, and like everything in life, everybody always talks about the idea of like high school drama. High school drama doesn't end. It just changes. So
and you'll learn that
high school drama from Nemeth and Punk or something. And yeah, it's the same shit.
And you'll learn that it really is actually way worse when you're older. I don't have too much to say on it just because it feels so weird to me.
Here's my take on it. When does this get dismissed or settled? Because this isn't going anywhere.
I would really hope not.
This isn't going to be some major blow up a company type thing or whatever. It's just going to get dropped at some point.
So TNA meets AEW meets WWE Worlds Collide. We've got the lawsuit on a pole match, and whoever brings the lawsuit down gets to rip it up.
It's got to be awkward when it's like, hey, we're doing this NXT and TNA crossover and Dolph is there, and like Punk tries to work with NXT on certain things and whatever. Like everybody's all in this melange, you know.
Although I will give Ryan Nemeth some credit for his on-screen character. He's now just doing the insufferable, like clearly overshadowed little brother, just being like, my big brother isn't happy with you right now. Like it's the best thing he's done, and it's simply because they're leaning into everybody cares about Dolphin. Yeah, but I think it's a little silly, but we're gonna keep following it, you know, to see if it goes anywhere.
Speaking of AEW stuff, let's talk about some stuff that happened on Dynamite. One of them being, it was all kind of involved in the same segment, so actually I might as well just kind of combine them. They show at the beginning of the episode that MJF was getting his AEW tattoo removed. And later on, they do a thing, a few minutes later, where they unintentionally cut to the back a little bit too fast, and they show Christopher Daniels blading. Which, here's a couple different takes that I've got on that. You don't need to blade.
Did they?
Yeah, you didn't see that?
Oh, no, I didn't see that that early.
Yeah, it cut to the back a little bit, like, too early, and he's just, like, got the blade, like, up to his head and stuff. But it's like, you don't need to blade in a scenario where you can just put fake blood on there. So that's pretty stupid. And also, a lot of people are like, oh, was that AEW tattoo even real? Or was he just getting his ass bleached and all these other responses? If he had a real tattoo, and if he is getting it removed, it's a good thing, because it's stupid to have that tattoo. If it was never a real tattoo and he's just pretending like it's getting removed right now, then credit to him for pretending like he had that tattoo all this time. And I don't really know why they're doing that in the story anyway.
Hold on, I'm looking at the footage. Oh.
Yeah.
Hold on. Wait, hold on. Yeah, he looks like he's like kind of punching himself.
Mm-hmm.
Now, see, when they zoomed in like that, I thought he was like, touching his forehead, like, I'm bleeding, oh my god. But upon watching it again, yeah, that's something. I mean, it's a show, things happen, but it's just like, it is funny whenever you see, how the magic trick works.
What do you think about the tattoo thing?
I was surprised to see that he was getting removed. If it was real, and I'm inclined to believe it was, and he's getting it removed, I think that means that could literally be like a sign of, okay, maybe he'd see this place as his forever home anymore. If it was fake, and you waited nearly a year to reveal that, that's crazy.
Do they have, at this point, temporary tattoos that aren't just like those stupid things that you would get in like a 25-cent machine or whatever, to showcase my fucking age? Do they have like temporary tattoos that you can get put on that lasts when you're like showering and like?
I'm not sure, but I do want to shout out you sounding like the oldest man ever. It needs to be in the 25-cent machine.
Yeah, you put a fucking quarter in there and you get some like little sticker looking thing, and then you put it on your arm and you wet it, and then it transfers the ink over. You have a little temporary tattoo. I used to think those things were fucking rad. And we talked about this before with the footage of me as Undertaker, and the one thing I had a bunch of like Oreo tattoos and stuff because that's what they had in most machines.
The fact that you thought enough to make sure you were kind of tattooed is pretty
As
funny.
if anybody would have given a shit. Nobody had any idea what the fuck I was doing, as it was.
Detail-oriented Tony Langa.
Always. Blueprint Project, everyone. Pokemon What If, But I think that it's a good decision to get that tattoo sorted out in one way or another. And I am kind of hoping that that means that he goes to WWE at some point. I think he shouldn't have signed back with AEW when he did. And I think that that's been a massive flop ever since. Like, MJF just doesn't hit the same.
I agree, and I think that's why this Hangman thing is hitting like crack, because it's actually like two guys in a major spot for the company who are very, very good at what they do.
Look at how happy Ricky Starks is at NXT. So I think I wanted to talk about it momentarily. Ricky Saints, I should say.
I do hate the idea of we're going on the second week, so maybe it's now a bit where he's just like, wow, is everybody always mad all the time over here? Like, he does seem happy, and I'm happy for him. Like, I don't know why people do the thing where they're like, well, now he's gonna bash AEW. If he didn't have a pleasant experience there, he's not obligated to not speak about it so you feel better. But and in the same vein, people who shit on AEW just to shit on it, nah, it's lame too. Like, just be you.
I got 3 other hot tags.
Hold on, is that before the TV stuff, or do you want to, or is that it for Dynamite for you?
Yeah, that's mostly it for Dynamite for me. I mean, things like the matches that they added for the next couple shows are pretty straightforward.
I do want to touch on Billy Stark getting on TV with Mercedes. Was nice. I hope that means, Billy and Athena coming to AEW soon. I also want to acknowledge that I really like what they're doing with Ricochet. I think like it works for him, but I also don't want to see him become number 1 contender yet. Though I guess we'll get into that. Not this week, but next week. I think there's another. Oh, and Willow hitting the concerto was great, but I really thought it was gonna be Beth.
I didn't even think about that. I thought that Cope was just gonna do it.
I've been waiting for Beth Phoenix since like Marina got involved.
You gotta figure at some point she's going to. Yeah,
she will. Yeah, but that's everything I have to say about that.
So another AEW related topic here. Leyla Hirsch is apparently having her contract with AEW expire.
Yeah, imagine that. You didn't do anything with her. And she should want to leave.
They had her be one of these prominent people that they were using as like we're going to make this a homegrown talent type of approach. They had her wrestle on Dark and Dark Elevation a bunch. They really dropped the ball with her. They put her on ROH. I have no idea what she did on ROH because it's ROH and I never watched that shit. And now she's leaving.
She had a great match
with Diamante, right?
Diamante was the last woman standing. Fantastic. Yeah, I think whatever she chooses to do, she'll be better off. Unfortunately, like, sometimes it just doesn't work for certain people, and the relationship wasn't working out.
Where do you think she goes next?
There's a run on the Indies. I'm not so sure about WWE yet, but she'll at least do a run on the Indies.
I don't think that they're going to end up picking her up for NXT.
Oh, definitely. I'm not going to say definitely not. That's not, I'm not fully sure of that, but it doesn't seem likely.
I could see her getting a tryout, and I could see them being like, we'll take a look at her, but something about her doesn't strike me like she would fit in the WWE mold. So, obviously I wish that she has success wherever she goes, but I would be shocked if she didn't end up either in like the Indies or, TNA or NWA or whatever. I don't think she's going to NXT. And somebody who's leaving WWE is Carmella. She has been moved to the alumni section and her contract is up.
So we'll know more details when she does that podcast she was hinting at. But we know that she, was very successful in WWE, had a bad case of drop foot after, giving birth, and it's just unfortunate that they let her go.
I wish that she would be able to make a return and be able to do some more stuff because I always liked Carmella. But I think that it could be one of those scenarios where she could just be like, you know what, like maybe that chapter is done. And I don't think we will see her wrestling elsewhere. I think she has too many other projects that she would want to do. But at some point, it'd be nice to see her have like one more match. And I actually considered doing like a one more match Carmella or, Superstar Scores or something. We haven't done any of those in a while, but
one more match Carmella. Adriana Rizzo.
Yeah, that would be fun. I like that. Maybe we go around and do a Superstar Scores at some point of Carmella. Let us know if you really want us to do that. It has been a while since we've done a Superstar Scores, but I think that she is somebody who has never quite been given her flowers.
I agree.
You figure she comes in as the hair salon person for Enzo, and look at how far she ended up going. So hopefully her story all works out well. I got one more hot tag, and this is about WWE Roadblock for NXT. They decided that they were going to announce a whole bunch of things on NXT this week. This was another one of those fucking nights where it was just like bang, 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 bang. And we're like, oh my God, we got too much to fucking talk about. But they are harping on champion versus champion for this quite a bit. And not everything is champion versus champion in the like title for title sense. But when Roadblock comes around, and next week on the hot tags we'll do like full predictions for like the full lineup because we do have one more week ahead of time. By the way, do you think Sean Spears is winning the North American title? Because I do. I fully expect that to happen for next week.
They haven't named that group yet or the Chaos group yet.
No, and it's really fucking annoying.
Oh, we did get the name of a trademark name of Calix, which is going to be
Calix or Calix, yeah.
Jessica Carr under a mask.
Why out of all the names would you pick basically the name of somebody else on the roster? Why has that happened like 3 times now?
Maybe it's a red herring.
Well, when Lyra Valkyria had that name switch, that was when Taya Valkyrie had joined the company. And then we got the oh my God, I just had it in my head and it just flew right out. Whatever it was, I don't know. Fuck me. It's 1:30 in the morning, and I lost
will not.
They, I guess, were just like, oh, I like that name, and okay, Sol Roca, and we can't use your name for you, but we can basically use it for somebody else. It's very weird. But Roadblock coming up is going to have Hardy Boys defending the TNA tag titles against Fraxium. Spoiler alert.
That means tag title match is crazy to me.
That means Hardy Boys retain.
No, it means they lose.
For the TNA tag titles?
I assume Fraxium wins. They get a quick run in NXT. Hardy Boys beat them back, and they have a rubber match.
I'm fully expecting Hardy Boys win that. And then Obafemi beats Moose because only the NXT Championship's on the line for that. But Giulia and Stephanie Vaquer, out of fucking nowhere, are having a title for title match. And this is the crazy thing about this. They basically say that they had signed Giulia and Stephanie Vaquer a year ago. but they wait on both of them until September. And then when they come around, they're like, okay, but we're not going to put a title on them until January, February. And Giulia's held this title for 53 days or so. Vaquer's held this title for like 2 weeks, and already one of them is going to have to lose their title.
Well, it could end in a schmoz.
I think if you do a schmoz when it comes to title for title, you're pissing off too many people. And now there's a report going around that Giulia is banged up.
So somebody who works for the company said not to believe that, and I'm gonna go ahead and believe them because I don't think Giulia's banged up. I could be wrong, but I don't
feel
think
like
so.
she might be, and I'm kind of curious what they're going to do going forward with this, because I'm like, well, no matter what, one of these women is going to be holding 2 titles, and they're either going to vacate one of them, or they're going to be defending them twice, and the other one's not going to have a belt. I don't understand the booking here.
Yeah.
Now, that kind of ties into something that we were talking about before, which was who gets the ladder match. And maybe they change my mind with something that happens on NXT on Tuesday. But for right now, I'm going to go on record and saying, I think Vaquer wins. And she drops the North American title.
North American belt, and they do the ladder.
Ladder match for the North American title is Carmen Petrovich, Jada Parker, Kehlani Jordan, Lola Vice, maybe some other people in the mix there if they want to throw in Fatal Influence or something.
I would say
could be JC and Fallon,
Izzy and Adriana as well.
Any of those in some kind of 4-way, 5-way, 6-pack ladder match, and then Giulia just isn't there, I guess, and Vaquer is fighting I don't know who. They're also seemingly setting up Roxanne Perez against Jordan Grace again.
She won't leave.
Yeah.
Tony.
They're just like, we don't want you to be on the main roster for real.
You don't understand. When I heard her music, I'm just like, good Lord, she won't go. No, but I think she's going to fight. Because Grace, Roadblock is probably going to be better than Stand and Deliver. They're probably going to do Roxanne, Jordan. They're probably going to do, we already know, Moose Obafemi, which, not the strongest TNA competitor, but up there. Hardy Boys for Axiom should be great. I'm excited for Roadblock, but I also feel like some of this could have been saved for Stand and Deliver.
I agree. Now, they haven't announced anything for Stand and Deliver yet, so maybe they have some cool surprises in mind, but I am kind of getting a little bit worried that the plan for Stand and Deliver is essentially like, okay, well, we're just going to finish up some stuff, and whatever you get is good enough because the matches will be good, kind of like WrestleMania. There is another report that Praxium is supposed to be hot-shotted to the main roster after Mania. So maybe they drop the tag titles at Stand and Deliver? If so, I don't fucking know to who. It's not any tag teams that stand out to me that make sense in that regard. But yeah, Roadblock seems like it could be a lot of fun. And I'm hoping that Giulia is not banged up and has to take time off, because she just, she's only been wrestling a few months here.
Yeah. It's really difficult because I kind of feel like they're just in a state where they're trying to cram a lot in because maybe they want Roadblock to be the big crossover show, but Stand and Deliver is like their NXT homegrown. Because how weird is it, Tony, that this is the Moose match and the TNA World Champion is nowhere to be found in the TNA NXT crossover? right now. Like, he did a lot before he was champion, but now he's not appearing. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, Joe Hendry wins the title. They put him in Royal Rumble. Then they're like, well, you're done with NXT.
Yeah, you don't need to be.
Technically, the Royal Rumble did just happen. So it's like, it's only been a few weeks. Maybe they're just like, well, we don't want to use him every week. But it would be interesting to see what else they could do with him.
I'm expecting something big coming from Roadblock that'll set the path for NXT for the rest of the year. I'll say that.
Do you think Babatunde's arriving?
I mean, he is big. But no, I think, honestly, I think that group's going to end up getting a leader. And it'll be like, oh, now we believe that they can be something. I think maybe by Stand and Deliver, maybe by Heatwave, you're looking at either Grace is already champion or she's already moved up. Starks is already, or Saints is already champion. I think we're gonna get a huge shake in NXT.
There's definitely not enough room for everybody, and there's definitely a need to shake things up, and put some more people on the main roster and have some fun new feuds. So I guess we'll see how that all plays out. The next thing that we have, though, is going to be Elimination Chamber coming up on Saturday.
Hold on.
Is there something else?
No, Elimination Chamber. I want to talk about Chamber a little bit. Because since we talked about Chamber on Monday night, The Rock put out a tweet. The Rock put out a tweet that said, stay tuned, we have so many more groundbreaking moves. And then said something. Oh, hold on, let me pull up the actual tweet so I can.
He didn't just say "Be my champion" 100 times.
No, he didn't. He did something I hate. Thanks for watching the show. We've got some disruptive moves coming up, so tune in. Love playing this audacious, unpredictable character known as the Final Boss. And listen. Listen to me. I talk about wrestling all day. I know it's fake. Tony knows it's fake. But do we always have to do this?
Mm-hmm.
Do we always have to do the whole, I love that I'm playing this unpredictable character? Damn it. Just, can you suck me into the lie? No, seriously, can you suck me into the lie? Because when you do this thing where you're like, I love playing this character, it's like, ugh, the illusion is ruined. What are we doing here? It's like, that's the kind of bullshit that allows you to skirt between, giving everybody a hug in January and suddenly being like, I want your soul in February. What are we doing? I hate dialogue like that. I hate speaking like that.
When they do things like on the air, I hate it more. But yeah, I agree with you.
It's not even like, I could get over the whole baby faces and heels thing in the Raw Netflix premiere intro. But this I don't like because it's just like, haha, I'm playing a character. Isn't that fun? Isn't that great? It just bugs me. By the way, he used an eagle emoji for this tweet. When he called himself the Final Boss, he put an emoji of an eagle.
What's that supposed to mean?
Listen, I'm going to just go full conspiracy theorist and say that is an eagle-y reference. This is closer to John Cena turning heel. No, but seriously, it just bothered me that he tweeted that out. And I don't like when they're like, yeah, we've got some disruptive moves coming up. Well, now I know.
Yeah, don't spoil it. There's going to be a twist or something.
It's less disruptive, you fucking dick. Like, let me believe the lie.
It's like the same thing as when you see a movie trailer and it's like, you'll never believe the twist. Like, okay, well, now I know that there's a twist and now I'm waiting for that the whole fucking movie.
Exactly.
Give me a Usual Suspects thing instead, you know? Great movie for anybody that's never seen that. It's one of my favorites. Anything else hot tag wise you think we should talk about?
Let me do a quick search because it is 1:45 in the morning. I don't think we're gonna find anything.
Nothing that I came across right before we had started while I was watching that most recent episode of Invincible, which everybody, if you're a superhero fan, you should check out that series. It's really good.
Ronda Rousey doing a WrestleCon. That's good for her. Good for anyone going to see her. Yeah, I can't see anything.
Alrighty, everybody, you know the deal. Make sure you check out amangotree.com for everything that's under a mango tree that you should be following, including myself at Tony Mango, most of those things. Make sure you're following Rob too.
At Dude Fleeced on most of those things. It finally happened. I need to correct someone. They think my name is Felix because I think they're just reading my name and thinking it says Felix.
Dude Felix.
It does. So, granted, my phone will try to do that to me. But no, my name is not Felix.
Yeah, I can tag you in the description as Felix. Yeah, that's going to do it then for this episode of the Hot Tags, everybody. Hopefully you enjoy your Friday. Hopefully you enjoy SmackDown. I don't think anything crazy is going to happen on there, but if it does, we'll talk about that on the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view point post show. Of course, that's happening immediately following the pay-per-view, so that's when you'll be hearing next from us. But until then, this has been another Smark Out moment, and we're being counted out.